This is one of those games where, despite competitive losses still being good, would have liked to win it. Would have liked to win it for a few reasons, obviously, and I'm going to get into that. That's why I'm making this video. That's why the second channel is here, because, we know what happened today. The Pistons versus the Lakers. I can talk about the Pistons in general over the last couple of games because there have been some notes that I have mentally taken down, as you do. But you would have liked to win that game following LeBron James elbowing Isaiah Stewart and making him bleed all the way down his eye. And, well, Anthony Davis apparently in the post-game press conference just came out and said it's uncalled for Isaiah Stewart to do that. It is uncalled for. I know it's uncalled for. Isaiah Stewart is the man that should be blamed for all of this. It is his fault that he got elbowed without looking by LeBron James and was bleeding all down his face. That is his fault, and I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. That's why I've come onto this video. If you're expecting me to say anything different, you're wrong, because I agree that LeBron James is the victim in this situation. He's the man that did nothing wrong, and it's Isaiah Stewart's fault. His face was in the way of LeBron. Like, what's he supposed to do? Is he supposed to just, push him away without elbowing him in the eye? Come on now. That would be ridiculous, okay? So Anthony Davis is right, the Lakers are right, and this is why I wouldn't even want to beat a team like the Lakers, because they're just full of people that you like, right? You like these kind of guys. So that's why, and their fan base, fantastic. So fantastic fan base, fantastic people, I love it. So that's why we can take this loss, and we're happy with that. Yeah, if you didn't detect, that was sarcasm. Lakers, we don't like them. Shame to lose that game because it was looking good for a long time. Apparently, Russell Westbrook decided to turn into prime Russell Westbrook in the fourth quarter. That's what turned the game. Anthony Davis came up with some clutch blocks and clutch plays down the stretch. Cade, unfortunately, has been so intelligent. That's been his major thing in terms of decision-making, shot selection. Well, shot selection has been a little bit off. Just in terms of the way he decides what to do down the stretch in particular, he's been intelligent with what he's done. He took on the wrong guy. Paid for it. Anthony Davis is not the guy that you want to take on back-to-back down the stretch. So that's what happened. But he's been fantastic. He had a triple-double, the youngest Pistons player in franchise history to have one. He ended up shooting 6 of 20, but he also only had 2 turnovers. So you can still see what is there. I'm not worried about his efficiency. For the most part, his efficiency has been pretty decent after those first 3 games. He's only had a couple of really poor efficiency nights, and this was one of them. And in general, he played well. He played defense well, as he's done, particularly against the Warriors, which I didn't talk about. But the Warriors game, we saw what Cade could do defensively down the stretch. Got a block on Wiggins, got 2 steals on Jordan Poole in the last 3 minutes of the game. I know that's not particularly relevant to this game, but I'm just talking about the Pistons in general and what we've seen over the last couple of games. Because putting aside the fact that you would have wanted to beat the Lakers because, for obvious reasons, they elbowed Isaiah Stewart in the face. If you want to hear my thoughts on that incident, basically, look, people can say it wasn't deliberate by LeBron. Whether he meant to absolutely elbowing him and make his eye bleed, I don't know. I don't think so. But at the same time, if you're throwing your elbow in the direction of someone and you cop them in the face, well then, what can you really say, okay? So it's deliberate, in my eyes. It's deliberate. It's careless, it's reckless, it's all of those things. And for Isaiah Stewart to get angry, I can't really be mad at him. At the same time, by the third time when he ran over those Detroit Pistons security or staff members, that was probably like, okay, you should be calmed down by that. But I know adrenaline is a thing that happens. Played contact sport before, it happens, but still at the same time. LeBron didn't want that. He didn't want that. Okay, let's be honest. None of those guys wanted that action from Isaiah Stewart because it would have been messy. It would have been a messy scene. I know these LeBron James gawkers in the comments of House of Highlights were talking about how, he didn't do anything wrong. He elbowed him in the face. That's all I've got to say about that incident. Isaiah Stewart is a legend. We already know that. Isaiah Stewart will fight anyone on scene. It doesn't matter if it's LeBron James, Blake Griffin. It doesn't matter, okay? That's why everyone loves Isaiah Stewart. Moving on from that and just looking at the game, in general, it was really good for 3 quarters. The fourth quarter, again, like I said, Russell Westbrook decided to turn into the prime version of himself. Carmelo Anthony the same, and Anthony Davis. When those guys are doing what they did, I can't even really be that mad at the Pistons. There was some questionable play calling. That last play call I can't imagine it was Hamidou Diallo. I saw someone say maybe it was Hamidou Diallo who decided to pass the ball in midair. I can't imagine he would make that decision in midair after there was a play call written up, when it looked like that was the anticipated thing to give it to Hamidou Diallo. So I can't imagine he went like, oh no, I'm supposed to get the ball and run out to the 3-point line or whatever the play call was, but instead he decided to throw it straight to Anthony Davis. Can't imagine that what it was. I think it was trying to be clever with the play call, and it did not work out at all. It did not work out at all. Why go at Anthony Davis in general? I know Cade did it. That wasn't Dwayne Casey's fault. That was just a poor decision. He doesn't make many, okay? That's fine, though. But they had a play call for Jeremy Grant to go at Anthony Davis down the stretch. They then had that one where AD was, I know they didn't know if he was going to be there, but you expect AD to be patrolling the paint in the last play of the game. It's just a bit silly, isn't it? It's just a bit silly. I don't really rag on Dwayne Casey that much. I know some people really hate him. I don't think he's a fantastic coach by any means, but whatever. I just kind of leave it be, but it's just a bad play call down the stretch. And like I said, Pistons were missing some shots down the stretch. Cade didn't have his best game, actually, which is saying something because he still ends up with a triple-double, still played good defense. But in general, the Pistons are looking more like the team you would have hoped, what I was expecting. A competitive team that probably will lose the majority of games to teams like the Lakers and the Warriors, even though the Warriors had their second unit. They're still a very good team. Even with the second unit, Jordan Poole was cooking, Andrew Wiggins was cooking. But what I've been happy with from the Pistons recently is the likes of Frank Jackson getting back to his best. Hamidou Diallo has started to get minutes and has made good decisions for the most part, apart from that turnover. Cade has been good, of course. Sadiq Bey has found some range. I don't even know. I haven't looked at his numbers. It's been a little bit iffy from three. Jeremy Grant just had a good game as well. In general, the players are playing more like we would have hoped the last couple of games. And since Cade has been playing, they're 4-7, which isn't amazing. But at the same time, they've had 3 very close losses. So they could have easily been 500 with Cade Cunningham in the lineup. And they look a lot more like a play-in team with Cade playing than before, where they were 0-5, okay? So that's kind of all you really want to see. You want to see what this team looks like with their healthy players. And even still, they've missed Isaiah Stewart for the second half of the Warriors game and now the second half of this game, which has been a pivotal loss because he's been huge the last couple of games. And in general, he's really important. We don't have a center. And Anthony Davis is, despite not being at his best at the moment, he still can put up 30 points as we saw. And if you don't have a rim protector or a center that's going to go up against him, well, he's going to end up dominating in the fourth quarter alongside Russell Westbrook like we saw. Both of those guys who really benefited from there being pretty much no help at the rim. That's what it came down to. So talking about those guys winding back the clock, sure, but at the same time, if Isaiah Stewart was probably still in the game, I don't think that quite happens. I don't think they get as many free runs to the rim. They don't get quite as easy looks. I don't really mind losing. That's not really the issue. You would have wanted to win this game because the Lakers and annoying and beat them. That would be fun. The commentators saying that it was Isaiah Stewart's fault. It wasn't deliberate by LeBron. Well, I don't think they said it was Isaiah Stewart's fault. They said it wasn't deliberate by LeBron. Come on, let's get a grip, okay? He can make mistakes. He's a good man. He's a good player, but he made a mistake. He elbowed someone. It was a dirty play. We move on. We got nothing else to really say. Hamidou Diallo, Frank Jackson being back are probably the 2 biggest takeaways from the last couple of games, in my opinion. I've kind of already talked about Cade. Like I said, wasn't his best game. Still ends up with a triple-double. He's going to be a triple-double threat all season long, and he's not going to shoot 1 of 9 from 3 many other games. It's a loss. It's an annoying one, but we move. We move.